Hey everybody, welcome to All There Is. As you know, last week we kicked off this series on homelessness. November is Homelessness Awareness Month. If you listened last week, you know that more than 500,000 people in this country experience homelessness on any given night in America. That is profound. That right there should stop you in your tracks. If you've listened to All There Is, this podcast, for any length of time, you know the way that I process things are to write about them. The way that I make sense of things is to write about them. And that's exactly what I did in my memoir, Chasing the Merry-Go-Round. When it comes to solving homelessness, and it comes to figuring out how to deal with it, what do we do? How do we get rid of it? How do we help these people? How do we make it so that we don't have people sleeping on the streets, living on the streets, that we don't have people in our country hungry? We know there is no silver bullet. There's no single answer or even 2 or 3 things that will solve the problem of homelessness. The causes are many and complicated, multiple and complex, and range from mental illness to addiction, from disabilities to lack of affordable housing, from a history of racial injustice to the system itself. The reality is, when I talk about the system itself, what I'm really referring to is that life moves fast, and it's too fast for some people. My brother's story is one of what it's like to keep up in a world that moved too fast for him. And it was the foundation or the genesis for this overarching metaphor of the merry-go-round that I talk about in this memoir. And that's what I'm going to share with you today. It's the prologue of the book. And again, I think it'll be self-explanatory once you hear it. So again, thanks for tuning in today. Please tune in again next week. I'm going to share a short piece. And like I said, my husband and I will be sharing some exciting news about a project that we're kicking off this month. The best way to describe what life is like for Bobby is an old-fashioned merry-go-round, like the one I grew up riding at the North Bay Elementary School playground. This merry-go-round was an octagon formed by wooden benches held together by steel bars radiating from the center pole. Metal grates covered the opening in the middle. 2 hand-foot pumping stations, usually manned by 4th-grade boys, stood on opposite sides. They would push and pull on the steel bars, slowly at first until they found their rhythm. Then they'd pump with as much speed as their feet and hands would allow. The rest of us held onto the wooden benches and ran in a pack. Our hands stung with splinters as we pushed as hard and fast as we could. Our sneakers pounded in unison, forming a deep rut in the hard dirt as we tried to keep up with the kids pushing, pulling, and setting the pace. If you faltered or lagged for even a moment, you lost your footing and risked falling. Kids that fell were stepped on. No one slowed down. There were no adults, no referees to guarantee fairness. It was every man for himself. For Bobby, most of the time the world spins like this merry-go-round, with the rest of us running in a pack at a pace he's not capable of. His brain is on cruise control, set at a speed that can't keep up with those who push and pull, make the rules, set the speed. The recorded voice when he calls social services, or the gas and electric company, repeating option 5, berates him to make a choice and threatens to hang up on him when he's still trying to figure out option 1. The daily newspaper, job applications, forms for government assistance and cell phone contracts, all geared for those with an 8th grade education, are no match for his 3rd grade reading level. The bank teller who refuses to cash his paycheck because he doesn't have a checking account can't be bothered to take the time to listen to him explain why. The cashier at the grocery store rolls her eyes and sighs loudly when it takes him too long to count out his dollar bills and coins. At the playground, once the merry-go-round reached top speed, we jumped onto the moving bench, clutched the bar in front of us, and leaned back into the wind. Silky, white milkweed seeds blew across our faces and got caught in our hair and mouths. Intoxicated with speed, we looked around at all the other kids who made it. We considered ourselves worthy of the ride and breathed a sigh of relief. Once on, you had to focus on your grip. You couldn't relax or look down at the kids who fell. If you did, you might be thrown off by the sheer force of the spinning, tossed 3 feet in the air to land on hard ground, maybe get the wind knocked out of you or a scraped knee or split lip, depending on your landing. Some kids knew they wouldn't be able to run fast enough. They saw the rut and the fate of those who tried and failed and decided to stand on the sidelines instead, watching. The rest of us laughed and screamed as if we were the only kids on earth, as if all that mattered to us was that we had a seat on the moving bench. We'd enjoy the ride as long as we could. Other kids couldn't bear to watch and not ride, so they'd walk to the other side of the playground to ride the swings, the teeter-totter, or the slide. Most of the time, Bobby is one who stands on the sidelines and watches the rest of us go round. I tried for many years to help make him fast enough and strong enough to climb onto the merry-go-round. When that didn't work, I tried running for him. I tried carrying him while I ran. I was sure that if I could just get him up on that bench, he would be okay. Instead, he has shown me what it's like to stand on the sidelines. And though I will always try to convince the ones pushing and pulling to slow down every once in a while, let people like him on or off, give someone else a turn, when he is on the sidelines, I will stand with him. When he walks to the other side of the playground, I will walk with him. That's it. Thanks for tuning in today. I really appreciate your time. You can go to kellybargabas.com for more information, for past episodes. If you enjoyed this podcast, please share it, like it, review it. I appreciate you. Take care.